All right, get this. We're going deep today. Into the Osiris Shaft. A place where, get this, the walls might actually whisper healing secrets.
Sounds pretty wild.
Oh, yeah. And even wilder. The water there, it's purified, but not by filters, by sound.
Sound.
Sound. That's what we're diving into. This structure, with chambers and shafts, it might have been a super advanced, ancient healing facility.
Yeah, there's this researcher's report, super detailed. That's what got us hooked.
Me too, especially that super pure water at the bottom level.
Yeah.
They think it's because of the acoustics of the site.
That's what got the researcher going too. Obsessed, basically. Measuring every inch of the Osiris Shaft, every chamber, every shaft, figuring out what it's made of, limestone, marble, granite, like trying to crack the code of some ancient sonic machine.
Okay, so Osiris Shaft,
Uh-huh.
what are we picturing here?
Multiple levels, chambers all connected by these vertical shafts.
Shafts, okay.
Yeah, the researcher called them wells, A, B, C, D, E, and F. And then on the second level, you've got these stone boxes.
And it's all carved out of, like you said, different stone.
Oh, yeah, different types. Each one vibrates differently, you know?
Oh.
Adds to the whole sonic thing.
Gotcha. So we've got the chambers, the shafts, the boxes. What did the researcher do next to figure out this sonic machine?
They went for the shafts first, those wells. They're like
Yeah.
giant air columns, right? Perfect for resonating infrasound.
Infrasound. Now, for those of us in the back, what's infrasound again?
Think super low frequencies, below what we can hear.
So we can't even hear it.
Nope. But it's there. It's like that rumble you feel from an earthquake, way off.
Oh.
Or like thunder, but super far away.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we got these shafts just humming away at frequencies we can't even pick up. What did the researcher find?
They crunched the numbers, figured out each shaft has its own fundamental frequency, somewhere between 13 and 23 hertz.
Hertz, right.
Yep. Right in the infrasound zone.
Okay, so they vibrate at these specific frequencies. So what?
Well, each one is like a giant tuning fork, right, emitting its own sound wave. But then they all start interacting, mixing up, creates these things called beat frequencies.
Beat frequencies.
Yeah, it's like when two frequencies combine, they make a new one. And a lot of the beat frequencies in the Osiris Shaft, they match up with frequencies that can actually affect us, biologically, I mean.
Whoa, hold on. You're saying these sound waves, even the ones we can't hear, they can mess with our bodies.
Exactly. There's all this research now shows how specific frequencies, especially infrasound, can change stuff, like how fast our cells grow, how our tissues repair, even our brain waves.
Okay, so the shafts make infrasound. Infrasound makes beat frequencies. Beat frequencies can mess with our bodies.
Got it.
Bet it. But what about those boxes? What are they doing up there on the second level?
The boxes, that's where things get really interesting. They're partially filled with water, right? Creates this whole other acoustic world in there.
So each one is like a little echo chamber
Yeah.
with the sound bouncing around.
Exactly. And then factor in the shafts and all their frequencies. It's like a giant sonic mixing board down there.
Yeah.
Super complex soundscape.
I'm trying to picture this. Sound bouncing off the walls, mixing with the water, all these crazy frequencies. What did the researcher think it was all for?
Healing. Straight up. Different chambers, different boxes, each one tuned for a specific thing.
Like some ancient sound healing spa.
Yeah, something like that. But to really get it, we got to dig into how sound, especially infrasound, can change water itself. And that, my friend, is where things get seriously mind-blowing.
Okay, I'm ready to be mind blown.
Okay, so back to the Osiris Shaft. Before we jump into the water and sound thing, let's back up a bit. The researcher, they were all over this place, right? Documenting everything.
Yeah, measuring, analyzing, theorizing.
Exactly. But then they hit this, like, snag, the water
Yeah.
at the bottom of the shaft. It was crazy pure, like way purer than it should be.
Right. It's like, how is this possible?
And that's what flipped the switch for them, I think. They started thinking maybe it's the vibes.
the vibes.
You know, the vibrations from the shafts, all that infrasound we talked about.
Okay, the infrasound. So like, not just background noise, but like a constant sonic shaking.
Something like that. And it got them thinking, maybe that's what's cleaning the water.
Hold up, cleaning the water. How does sound clean water?
It's all about how sound waves mess with water molecules. The researcher, they talk about these things called coherent domains. It's like the sound waves organize the water molecules, make them form these little hexagonal structures.
Hexagonal structures. That's a bit over my head.
Okay, so picture it like this. Water molecules, right, they like to stick together, but they're also always bouncing around all over the place.
By the way, it makes sense.
But then the sound waves come in, right, and they're like, whoa, settle down, everyone. So instead of chaos, you get these organized little clusters of water molecules, all nice and hexagonal.
Organized water. Got it. What's so special about organized water?
Well, they think it's kind of like water on steroids. It can dissolve stuff better, gets into cells easier, even kicks out impurities better.
Wow, super water. But how does that actually clean the water at the bottom of the shaft?
The researcher thinks it's a combo, like a 3-hit sonic attack. First, you got those standing waves from the resonating shafts, right?
Yeah.
So they make these zones in the water.
Zones.
Yeah, high pressure, low pressure. It's like an invisible sound filter, basically.
So it's like squeezing out the bad stuff with sound pressure.
Kind of. Then you got this thing called acoustic streaming. It's like a tiny current made by the sound waves themselves.
So the sound is making the water flow.
Yep, gentle swirling, keeps everything moving, no stagnation, no buildup. And then the third part,
Hit me.
controlled cavitation.
Cavitation, like what dentists talk about.
Similar idea, but way smaller. The sound waves make these tiny bubbles in the water.
Okay.
But then those bubbles, they implode. Super tiny, but super powerful.
Whoa.
And the researcher thinks in the Osiris Shaft, it was controlled. Just the right frequencies to make those implosions break down the bad stuff, but not hurt the water itself.
So it's like microscopic sonic scrubbing bubbles.
Yeah, something like that. All working together. Agitating, filtering, scrubbing.
A whole sonic water treatment system.
And all natural, too. Just the shafts resonating, Earth's natural frequencies. It's like a self-cleaning water system.
Yeah.
Crazy efficient, right?
Ancient Egyptians were on another level. But we got to move on, right? From the water to those mysterious boxes. What's the story with those?
Ah, the boxes. That's where the real magic might be. We'll get into that next.
All right, those stone boxes. Time to open them up, right?
Let's do it. This is where it gets really good. Remember, solid granite, partially filled with water.
Right, like a sonic bath.
Exactly. 2 different sound spaces. The water and then the air above it.
What happens when you close the lid?
Magic. Well, sonic magic. The researcher, they figured out the exact resonant frequencies for both parts, the water and the air.
So, starting with the water.
The main resonance there,
Yeah.
about 2.8 hertz, and then you've got the harmonics, 5.6, 8.4.
Oh, so those are really low, right?
Super low, below what you can hear, but you'd feel it. Vibrations going right through you.
Wild. What about the air on top?
Higher frequencies there. Main one's around 343 hertz. And then standing waves popping up at like 686 and 1029.
So a big jump in frequency there.
Big jump. And the researcher thinks those higher ones, maybe they were more focused, like targeting specific spots.
Like acupuncture, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Low frequencies for the whole body, high frequencies for like pinpoint stuff. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
When they looked at the exact frequencies in the boxes, a lot of them matched up with frequencies we know can heal the body.
No way. Like what kind of healing?
All kinds. Bone healing, tissue repair, even frequencies that can stimulate nerves. Like each box was a different healing station.
This is blowing my mind. It's like a super advanced sound clinic, not some ancient Egyptian thing.
Right. But here's the bigger point. The researcher thinks that ancient Egyptians, they understood this stuff, the link between sound, water, and the body.
It's like they tapped into something.
Yes.
It's like fundamental. But how do they power all this?
That's the cool part. They didn't. The Osiris Shaft, it's self-powered.
Wait, what? How's that even possible?
Location, location, location. Deep underground, temperature super stable. But even tiny temperature changes between the different levels, they create air currents.
Air currents, okay.
And those currents, they make vibrations, like a giant natural wind instrument, always humming.
So natural air currents for the basic vibrations. Anything else?
Don't forget all the other stuff we talked about. Earth's natural frequencies, the Schumann resonance, air pressure changes, even little earthquakes. They all add to the mix.
It's like the whole planet is playing along.
And the Osiris Shaft, it's like a giant amplifier. Takes all those tiny vibes and cranks them up. The way the wells are spaced, the shape of the chambers, the size of the boxes, it's all designed to make those vibrations super strong.
Incredible. From the architecture to the sound to the water and now to this idea of self-powered healing. It's mind-blowing.
It really makes you rethink what we know, right? What the ancients knew.
Big time. Well, listeners, that's our deep dive into the Osiris Shaft. What a trip, right? Ancient secrets, sonic healing, water that cleans itself. It makes you wonder, what else is out there just waiting to be rediscovered?
Exactly. Who knows what we might find if we just keep looking, keep listening.
Until next time, keep those ears open and those minds curious.